question, how to read question properly. So this is something very useful for students who are starting preparation right now or early stage of preparation. But sometimes I feel like even step 2 students need to pause a moment and go back to the basics and see this part, because we are so much carried away with the subject and everything, we forget basics. This happens not just here, even when you're doing fellowship later on. Okay, so let's just see this, how to read the question properly. I would recommend reading the last line first. Okay, except psychiatry and ethics, because technically in these two subjects last line won't help, but other systems last line reading will help you to understand what you need to do throughout the question. Okay, so in this question the last line is, which structure is primarily affected in this patient condition, leading to the formation of recurrent lesions described. Okay, so they are asking you to know about the pathogenesis of the condition, whatever they are giving out over here. Okay, right. Now, after you have done the last line, now you will have to scan the buzzwords. Okay, generally I just try to scan it here and there, but better start from the beginning. Age and sex. So sometimes they'll help you whenever there is any inherited conditions. Like for example, if it is autoimmune, mostly they'll give you young female, like in this question. If it is X-linked recessive disorder, they'll give you a small boy, like 4 years, 8 boy, etc. Okay, so age and sex will help you in that. And if there are any labs, immediately keep an eye on the labs. You might see some abnormalities. Okay, I think there will be a labs tab in the final exam. They'll give you all the normal values, but I recommend you to remember some of the labs. If you see the 1000 cases book, we have given you nearly 15-20 labs that you must remember, which will save your time on the final exam date. Okay, check out the labs and see where any sudden abnormality, any so much abnormality you are seeing over there. Now see the chief complaint and the time period. So this is 38-year-old female. There are no labs, so I'm not checking it out, with a long history of painful recurrent lesions in her axilla, groin, and under the breast. These episodes have become more frequent and severe over the past few years. So it's a chronic condition. It's not acute, like within a days or something. Okay, so it's affecting her daily activities and quality of life despite numerous treatment, including antibiotics, antiseptic, hormonal therapy, surgical interventions. She experiences minimal relief. Now, physical examination reveals inflamed nodules, abscess, sinus tract, and scarring in the axilla and groin. Okay, so this is where you should get a diagnosis at least by now. Don't go to options before getting diagnosis. Try to think once or twice before getting into the option. Okay, so what I see is there are lesions that are there in the axilla, and the lesions are described as abscess, sinus tract, nodules, and scarring in the axilla and groin. So those who have done dermatology, what is the diagnosis? I know suddenly we got subject, right? We were in different mood, but there are some questions that we should be able to answer even during sleep. I guess this is one such question. Yes, so this diagnosis is very simple. This is hidradenitis suppurativa. Classically, they'll support with an image, but even if they don't give the image, they have described the lesion with which you can diagnose. Now, the diagnosis, but then I'm asking diagnosis. What do they ask? Which structure is affected in this patient condition, leading to the formation of recurrent lesions described? Okay, now whenever you're seeing options, try, as I've told, first establish the diagnosis. At least 70-80% of the questions establish diagnosis before going to the options. Ethics we cannot do, but rest of the subject, rest of the systems, try to do it this way. Now see the options. Mostly do the elimination pattern. That works so good. Okay, first we have sebaceous gland. So these glands are present everywhere. And where do we see this? Everywhere in the Instagram, online. Acne, right? So acne, everyone talks about pathogenesis. Okay, so there is some infection going on in your sebaceous gland, etc. Okay, so this is what causes acne, but not the hidradenitis suppurativa. Okay, then we have eccrine sweat glands. So these are something we don't hear often, so you can rule out that manner, or you can remember the concept that this is These are something that are responsible for thermoregulation, and they don't have any role in the hidradenitis suppurativa. Okay, then we have apocrine sweaty glands. This is what I would say a common trap, because the location, if you see wherever the patient is having lesion, where is she having? Axilla, groin, and the breast, wherever the apocrine sweaty glands are present. To be honest, earlier even doctors used to think that they are responsible for hidradenitis suppurativa, but as per the latest information or what we are learning, these are not responsible for hidradenitis suppurativa. But they are located in axilla and breast, but they are not responsible for hidradenitis suppurativa. Okay, so this is a common trap. Very importantly, you should be able to avoid this. So this comes with the practice and when you have a proper knowledge. Otherwise, you'll fall in this trap and answer this apocrine glands. Okay, then we have hair follicles. So this is where the problem lies. So in hidradenitis suppurativa, what will happen? There'll be a blockage of the hair follicle which will cause dilatation and rupture. Let's assume this is the hair follicle. If you're having blockage, now there will be rupture of this hair follicle which will spill this contents into the dermis, and dermis sees that as an antigen and there will be inflammatory reaction which forms an abscess. Okay, so this is what will happen. Of course, you have to know the concept here to answer this question. You need to know the knowledge, or you can eliminate other options, but if you don't know the basic concept, there are high chances you're falling in that trap. Okay, then we have lymph nodes. Lymph nodes will cause lymphadenopathy, definitely not painful recurrent lesions, so you can totally eliminate this. Okay, this is how you have to answer irrespective of the length of the question. Okay, read the last line first, try to see the labs, look for the buzzwords in throughout the stem, highlight them, and also after you have eliminated the major options, see the things that you have highlighted and see the two options that were left. For example, I've eliminated this and this. I wasn't sure about apocrine sweaty glands or hair follicles. Now I'll see the question again. For this question, this might not be helpful. In differentials, it will be helpful a lot. Okay, and then I'll mark the answer. This will avoid your silly mistakes majorly. The last step which I'm saying, seeing the things that you have highlighted and then marking the question before you leave the question. This will avoid your silly mistakes that you guys complain a lot. Okay, all right, so that's how you have to read a question, and after reading the question or after answering a block, how to analyze if you made a wrong answer. I think I've already discussed this in the previous slide. Okay, one last thing is I would put this in highlighted stuff. Go with your first instinct. I would highly recommend this. Lot of students, even after doing the final exam, they come and they tell me like, I've changed so much ethics questions, I shouldn't have done that, or I did it. Don't do it. You develop it during your revision only, that you'll not change options again and again unless the first option that you have marked you felt it is a blunder, then change it. Otherwise 99% your first instinct will be correct. Okay, your first love might not be, your first instinct is correct mostly. Okay, so try not to change it, particularly ethics questions where you're stuck between two options. You marked something, you flagged it, you came back to it again and you change it. Please don't do it. Okay, even in other subjects also, unless the existing one is blunder, please don't change the options at all. Okay, all right, so that's about how to read the question properly and how to review it after you've completed a block of questions.